When darkness and destiny collide, there's only one man who can walk the razor's edge between justice and destruction: Dexter Morgan. Episode 9 of Dexter Resurrection promises to be a storm of blood, secrets, and haunting revelations, but to understand the fire about to be unleashed, we need to look back at how Episode 8 left us dangling over the edge of chaos. The road here wasn't just a straight line, it was a descent, a test of conscience, and a reminder that the dark passenger never sleeps. Episode 8 pulled us deeper into Dexter's crumbling balance between family, identity, and the monstrous urges that define him. The hour began with a haunting silence, the kind only Dexter fans recognize, a moment before something unholy is about to surface. We saw Dexter fighting to hold on to his normal life, but the cracks spread wider with every decision he made. His bond with Harrison continued to be tested, as the boy's questions about morality, justice, and blood hinted at a dangerous reflection of Dexter's own younger self. In one of the most chilling exchanges, Harrison's curiosity about who deserves to die suggested that Dexter's dark legacy may not be his alone to carry. The suspense built as Dexter found himself circling closer to his latest adversary, a figure who seems both fascinated and repelled by his legend. This enemy knows how to manipulate the game, drawing Dexter into traps that are both physical and psychological. In Episode 8, the audience was left guessing who was really in control: Dexter, with his meticulous code, or this new shadow who knows the rules well enough to twist them against him. The episode wasn't only about the chess match of predator and prey, it was also about family. The moments with Harrison weren't tender. They were tense, uneasy, loaded with secrets left unsaid. Each father and son conversation became heavier with unspoken truths. Dexter tried to protect his son from the darkness, but at the same time, he couldn't hide the reality forever. Harrison isn't blind, and Episode 8 showed us he's beginning to piece together just how far his father's justice really goes. This father-son conflict, layered with secrecy and suspicion, is the emotional backbone that makes the story sting as much as it thrills. By the time the episode reached its final act, the walls were closing in fast. The law was catching whispers of Dexter's presence. The enemies he thought he buried weren't staying buried, and the fragile mask he wore in front of Harrison began to slip. The promo for Episode 9, titled "Touched by an Angel," suggests that everything that brewed in Episode 8 is about to explode. The themes of duality, angel versus devil, savior versus killer, were all seated here. Episode 8 wasn't just another chapter. It was a warning. Every decision Dexter made, every close call, every drop of suspicion in Harrison's eyes, all of it built toward the breaking point we are about to witness. Episode 8 ended on a cliffhanger that ripped the breath from fans, the image of Dexter caught in a trap not of his making, with enemies circling closer and Harrison watching more closely than ever. The tension wasn't just in what was shown, but in what was implied: that the boy could become either Dexter's greatest ally or his deadliest downfall. With that haunting setup, the stage is perfectly set for Episode 9 to push Dexter into choices that could either save his soul or damn him forever. Asterisk. The promo for Episode 9 doesn't just tease a continuation. It feels like a declaration that everything we thought we knew about Dexter is about to be shattered. From the very first frame, the atmosphere is different. The title alone, "Touched by an Angel," immediately sets the tone. But this isn't about holiness or salvation in the traditional sense. It's about irony, darkness wrapped in purity, and a man who has always walked between two worlds. When Dexter is framed as the so-called Dark Angel, it tells us that the line between savior and sinner is about to blur like never before. The promo opens with quick, almost disorienting flashes, a crime scene bathed in an eerie blue light, a body covered in white cloth resembling angel wings, and Dexter himself stepping into the frame with an expression that is both haunted and determined. These images aren't accidental, they're carefully chosen to remind us that Dexter has always been a paradox. He is a killer who saves lives by removing monsters from the world, but he does it in ways that can never be washed clean. The imagery of wings, halos, and light contrasted with blood and shadows isn't just art, it's foreshadowing. It suggests Dexter is being forced into a role he may not have chosen, a figure who looks like a savior to some, but who knows deep down that he is damned. One of the most striking shots in the promo is a close-up of Dexter's face, illuminated from below, as if caught between fire and heaven's glow. This is where the theme of duality comes alive. Is he ascending, finally stepping into some form of redemption? Or is he descending, consumed by the fire of his own mistakes? The camera doesn't give us answers, only riddles. That's the brilliance of this promo. It gives fans just enough to start dozens of theories, but it hides the real game behind the imagery. Then comes the sound. We hear the faint toll of church bells in the background, layered with whispers, as if voices are closing in on Dexter's mind. This is not just about physical threats anymore. This is about his psyche unraveling. Touched by an angel could mean that Dexter himself is having visions, perhaps ghosts of the past like Deborah or Harry, reminding him of the code, the rules, the blood he spilled. Or it could mean that Harrison is stepping into a role that terrifies Dexter most, the reflection of himself. In one rapid cut, we catch Harrison staring at something off-screen, his expression unreadable. Is he looking at his father, finally seeing him for what he truly is? Or is he looking at the aftermath of a kill, realizing the dark gift he may inherit? The promo also teases action violent, fast, and relentless. We see Dexter chasing through a dim alley, a figure slipping into the shadows just out of reach. There's blood on his hands, but it's not clear if it's his or someone else's. We see a confrontation hinted at, a hand gripping Dexter's neck, a flash of silver, and then the screen cuts to black. The editing here is deliberate. It creates more questions than answers, forcing the audience to obsess over each frame, but perhaps the most haunting part of the promo is its final image. Dexter kneeling, his hands pressed together like a man in prayer, but his gloves are dripping with blood. The angel imagery comes full circle. Is Dexter asking for forgiveness, or is he mocking the very idea of salvation? This one shot encapsulates everything the promo wants us to feel: confusion, unease, and the terrifying truth that maybe there is no redemption left for him. Thematically, Episode 9 is set up to explore whether Dexter can ever be more than what he is. The angel in the title isn't a promise, it's a warning. It suggests judgment is coming, whether from Harrison, the law, or the ghosts of his past. The promo uses visual storytelling to make us question not only Dexter's fate, but his identity itself. Is he the Avenger who cleanses the world of monsters? Or has he become the very monster he swore to hunt? Asterisk, if Episode 9 is the turning point of Dexter Resurrection, then the characters themselves are the fuse waiting to be lit. At the heart of it all lies Dexter Morgan, the man who has worn countless masks but never escaped the shadow of the dark. Passenger. His conflict has always been about control, whether he's the one steering the darkness or whether the darkness has always been steering him. In Episode 9, that conflict is no longer private. It's on display, mirrored in the people around him. And especially in Harrison, Dexter's arc in this chapter feels heavier, more desperate. In earlier episodes, he tried to hold on to a fragile balance, being a father, protecting his son, and pretending he could lock away his true nature. But Episode 9 forces him into a corner. The promo hints at him returning to the role of the Dark Angel, which isn't just a title, it's a surrender. It's Dexter admitting that no matter how much he tries, the monster inside him is part of his identity. The irony is that while he may see it as a curse, others may see it as a twisted form of justice. That dual perception, savior to some, sinner to others, is what makes his arc in this episode so explosive. And then there's Harrison. His story is no longer about being a boy trying to understand his father. It's about deciding what kind of man he's going to become. Episode 8 gave us glimpses of his curiosity, his questions about justice, and his fascination with the darker side of morality. Episode 9 sharpens that conflict. The camera lingers on his expressions in the promo, silent but powerful. Harrison's arc is about inheritance, but not the kind you can measure in money or property. It's about inheriting a legacy of blood, secrets, and choices that can't be undone. The question hanging in the air is whether Harrison will follow Dexter down that path, resist it entirely, or carve out a third way that neither of them saw coming. What makes Harrison's conflict even more gripping is the silent war between love and truth. He loves his father, there's no doubt, but that love is cracked by suspicion. When Harrison looks at Dexter now, he doesn't just see a dad trying to protect him. He sees someone hiding something monumental. Episode 9 might be the moment. Those suspicions break open. And if that happens, their bond won't just be tested, it will be redefined. Will Harrison become Dexter's greatest ally, embracing the code and the darkness as his own? Or will he become the one person capable of stopping Dexter once and for all? Around them, secondary characters are not just background noise. They are pieces on the board that can change the game at any moment. Detectives closing in on Dexter's trail, enemies who know his secrets, and even allies who don't fully understand what they're standing next to. In Episode 9, every supporting character is a mirror reflecting different parts of Dexter. The detective represents the law, the unrelenting weight of justice. The enemy represents the shadow, a predator who wants to prove that Dexter is not unique. And Harrison, he represents possibility, the unknown outcome of this bloody equation. The conflicts aren't just external battles, they're emotional wars. For Dexter, it's about whether he can still protect his son while embracing who he is. For Harrison, it's about whether he can trust a father whose life is built on lies. And for the world around them, it's about whether a monster can truly hide in plain sight forever. Episode 9 seems determined to rip away those masks, forcing every character to face the truth they've been running from. The genius of Dexter Resurrection has always been its ability to make us question morality. Are these characters villains, heroes, or something in between? Episode 9 pushes that question into the spotlight, reminding us that in Dexter's world, nobody escapes without blood on their hands, not even the ones who never intended to pick up a knife. When the promo ends, what lingers is not certainty, it's speculation. Dexter Resurrection Episode 9 is titled Touched by an Angel, and that choice of words is deliberate. Fans are already asking, is this the moment Dexter finds redemption, or is it a cruel irony hinting that he's about to fall deeper into the abyss? The title alone opens a floodgate of theories, and Episode 9 feels like the storm before the finale, the episode where nothing is left to chance and every possibility must be considered. One theory burning through fan discussions is that Dexter will confront a ghost from his past, literally. Throughout the series, Dexter has been guided, haunted, and judged by voices in his mind, Harry, Deborah, and his own conscience. The angel imagery, combined with whispers in the promo, suggests we might see another vision or hallucination. Could Deborah return in spectral form, scolding him for repeating his mistakes? Or could it be Harry's code resurfacing, reminding him of the rules he's broken? The idea of Dexter being touched by an angel could mean he's not facing living enemies, but inner one's ghost pulling at him until he either cracks or surrenders. Another major theory points directly to Harrison. The boy's silence in the promo is deafening. We see him, but we don't know what he's thinking. Some fans believe Harrison will finally confront his father, forcing Dexter to admit the truth about who he is. If this happens, Episode 9 could be the pivotal moment that decides whether Harrison becomes an ally embracing the dark code or whether he rejects Dexter completely and turns against him. Imagine the irony. Dexter, the so-called angel of justice, being judged not by the law but by his own son. This would not only shift the story, it would redefine the very heart of the show. Then there's the darker prediction, betrayal. The promo shows Dexter in prayer-like poses, drenched in symbolism of guilt and judgment. But who is setting him up? Could Harrison betray him, siding with the law? Or could it be an enemy using Harrison as bait, forcing Dexter to choose between saving his son or protecting himself? The possibility of betrayal isn't just exciting, it's terrifying, because betrayal has always been the wound that cuts Dexter the deepest. Rita, Deborah, even Hannah, every relationship has carried the risk of destruction. Now it may be Harrison's turn to choose which side of the line he stands on. A third theory digs into the idea of irony. The phrase, touched by an angel, might not mean salvation at all, it could mean death. The angel could represent the end, a final judgment Dexter can't escape. The blood-stained prayer shot from the promo hints at this. Dexter kneeling not for forgiveness, but for the last time. Some fans believe Episode 9 may set up his downfall, with the finale being the moment his story finally ends. After all, Dexter has cheated death countless times, but angels, even dark ones, eventually fall. And then, of course, there are the wild theories, the ones that seem impossible, but in a show like Dexter, anything is possible. Could a character from earlier seasons resurface, not as a vision, but as flesh and blood? Could someone like Hannah or even an old nemesis return to force Dexter's hand? The promo leaves enough ambiguity that fans are spinning every frame into possibilities. A gloved hand, a shadow in an alley, a whisper in the dark each moment is fuel for speculation. What ties all these predictions together is one truth. Episode 9 isn't just another chapter. It's the tipping point. Whether Dexter is touched by an angel in the sense of salvation, damnation, or something in between, this episode will likely determine how the season ends. The angel imagery promises judgment. The father-son dynamic promises heartbreak, and the enemies circling promise blood. Every theory, no matter how wild, leads back to the same haunting question: will Dexter rise above his darkness, or will he finally be consumed by it? One thing is certain, fans are about to get answers, but not the ones they expect. Episode 9 is where the past collides with the present, where every lie comes undone, and where Dexter Morgan's legacy is tested in the most brutal way imaginable. And when the credits roll, the audience won't just be waiting for the finale, they'll be wondering if they've just watched the beginning of Dexter's redemption, or his end, asterisk.